Hey, welcome back to video 2, dry fire practice. We're going to be talking about various tools to use in dry fire, how to use them, why to use them, and some more detailed techniques. We're going to dive a little deeper now below the surface of the water and talk more about dry fire. So I'm assuming that you're going to work with a cleared pistol, which we covered in the introduction video number 1. Now, you could work with an inert dummy, a plastic gun, which is fine for practice aiming, drawing, even disarming one another. When someone pulls a pistol on you, things you can use, not use, incorporating it into martial arts. You could work with an airsoft pistol, which fires a 6mm plastic pistol. You can use this out in your own backyard, or wherever you want to go with it. No LTC is required for it, and all the same foundational skills are required. So that's fantastic for practice. You can also practice with a laser trainer. This will actually aim a laser at your target. You can practice with that. Another thing you can do, for example, you can practice all the manipulation techniques with your pistol with a cleared pistol. Again, you want to make sure you've pulled the slide back, you've made sure you have no cartridge in the chamber, you've already ejected the magazine, you get the ammunition way away from the table. Put it in a box, drawer, safe, whatever you want to do, but get the ammunition away from where you are doing your dry fire practice. Trust me, please. Ammunition has a way of finding its way back into your gun. You don't want to go there, okay? Once that's all said and done, you can practice all these techniques of handling with your pistol cleared. You can go a step further, put a laser cartridge, such as this, inside, where the striker or firing pin hits the rubber pad on the back, and a little laser beam comes out the front. It's a little burst of light. It's not like a laser bore that's on all the time that you used to get yourself on paper. This is actually just a quick burst, which I'll demonstrate. See a little light going on inside there? Well, that little blip of light shows up on the target where you're aiming. It's a laser. It goes out, and it shows you where you're hitting, which is really, really useful. You can go a step further with this laser trainer and even add tracking software. Say software, there's even free apps you can get online for your phone or Android that you can simply put up a target somewhere, an 8.5-11 target, stand it against a wall, tape it on something, and then aim your camera, prop it up on a tripod or stand it against a box, aim it at that paper, and it will track where you're hitting on that paper with your laser trainer. You can go a step further than that and even use what's called smokeless range. I have one set up here in my house where I've got a projector on one side of the room shooting scenarios onto a screen on the other side of the room, stationary targets, different types of targets, moving targets, even mass shooting scenarios where I have to defend myself or protect other people. And I've got software that tracks where I'm hitting on those targets, successful, unsuccessful. It teaches you to make split decisions, split-second decisions, shoot, don't shoot, how to shoot, how fast do I have to shoot. It shows you your splits as far as how fast you're hitting the target compared to how many misses that you have. And while it may seem something like a video game, you're actually developing all the foundational skills into muscle memory to make you a better, more effective shooter. That's safer for you and safer for those around you. That's why all the great shooters use dry fire practice to be better shooters. It's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, and I can teach you how to do it because I practice it as well. It's safe and it's affordable way to practice all the elements of firearm use. And then later on, go to the range and go through 25, 50 rounds and vet all those skills along with the recoil, and you become a better shooter. So, with the exception of recoil management, like I just mentioned, this reinforces the correct muscle memory and all the foundational skills without the interference of shot anticipation, which I talked about in the previous video. I talked about what shot anticipation was. I don't want to repeat it again now, but basically, it's a way to practice all those things. So, let's go a step further. Dry fire practice can include weapons manipulation, magazine ejection, magazine insertion, especially under stress, clearing your pistol, clearing jams, drawing. You can also reinforce your stance, your grip, your aiming, your breathing, and your trigger control. Now, if you haven't heard about these 5 foundational skills, stance, grip, aiming, breathing, trigger control, reach out to me, let me know. I will reach back out to you and I will set you up with those 5 foundational skills and how they work. The sequence that works best for most shooters is stance. Maintaining stance, maintaining grip. While you're maintaining stance and grip, establish your aim. That's sight alignment and then sight picture. And you don't sacrifice sight alignment for the sake of sight picture. While you're maintaining your stance and your grip and your aim, now you do breathing, which is the half breath held. You don't breathe in or out while you're actually about to fire your shot. While you're maintaining your stance and your grip and your aim and your breath control, that's where you now handle the trigger and you fire the shot. And it's in that sequence. They're all stacking up one on top of the other. That's why dry fire practice is so effective. Because those foundational skills, your stance, your grip, your aim, your breath control, and trigger, all those things come together and become muscle memory. So now you can focus on the target and what's happening with the target, if it's paper or if it's alive and it's a threat. And all those foundational skills are locked in and they happen almost second nature. You don't have to think about them. Now, for basic defense skills, you're going to focus on grip, aiming, and trigger control. Because you don't know if you're going to have time for breath or stance. You could be firing a shot from sitting down, on your stomach, on your back. You don't know what position you're going to be in. And maybe you've been running for the last 30 seconds before you finally have to turn to defend yourself with your pistol. Well, there goes breath control right out the window. So you're going to focus on grip, your aim, and your trigger. Now, to ensure sufficient accuracy in a defense scenario, we're looking at center mass delivery of rounds and quick delivery of that center mass. That is very, very different from the average person going to the range and just trying to fire shots slowly, deliberately. Take 10 seconds to put one shot on the bullseye. Then relax a little bit, shake it all out. Come on back up, lift up, and you're taking so much time. You don't have that type of time when you're defending yourself. We're looking for center mass. And again, the quick delivery of shots. If that's the case, then you have to bear in mind, you don't have time. They're coming up fast. You've got to react fast. And that's where these skills come into hand, where you are now not worried about the foundational skills. You can focus about, is it good enough to get a shot on center mass? And that's also part of dry fire practice, especially with laser trainer and smokeless range, where you're now under the gun, no pun intended. Maybe it was actually intended, okay? That you have to now draw fast, acquire target fast, and get shots down range fast in a matter of 1 or 1.5 seconds, certainly less than 2 seconds. The average attack is on you in 2 seconds. So you have to react faster than that. So we're looking at also adding to dry fire practice, concealed carry draw technique. We're looking at aiming methods, which can be the sighted, which could be flash sighting, or it could even be point and shoot. We're looking at defense tactics like shooting positions, offhand shooting. You may not always have your dominant hand to fire with. Learning how to use one-hand techniques. Learning how to reload fast as far as one mag to another. Working with malfunction drills. What do you do when you have a jam? What do you do if you have a stovepipe? What do you do if you think you've got a delayed ignition of a shot? We'll talk about slap, rack, and roll. Retention shooting methods. You can't always, someone coming at you, extend your hands way out here to defend yourself because you've handed them the gun if they're within arm's reach of you. We'll talk about retention shooting methods. All that can be dry fire. Flashlight positions, where to aim a flashlight with your pistol and methods to use that. We're going to talk about all these things in the upcoming videos. Exciting? Yeah. Effective? Certainly. Essential? I'd say yes, because if you want to learn how to protect yourself, you've got to practice dry fire, cementing all these methods in, making them muscle memory, and then you can focus on keeping yourself alive and not worried about How well am I manipulating the pistol? It becomes second nature. All right, that's the end of video number 2. We're going to go into video number 3. We're going to start with those foundational skills, explaining them, demonstrating them, and moving on. All right, see you in video 3.